Well, hello and welcome to Lessons in Leadership. Bill Storm here with you. This week, we're moving on to chapter 6 of our new study series based on John Maxwell's book, Leadership Gold. The title of this chapter is The Best Leaders Are Listeners. Now, as always, this is a study series. So just because the author says it doesn't mean that I agree or that you should agree, right? It is up to us to study this material and discern whether or not it is right for us. Now, before we go any further, understand there are 26 lessons in the series because there's 26 lessons in John's book. So you're going to want to be sure to like and subscribe to the channel right now so that you're notified when the next lesson becomes available. And then, of course, if you missed any of the first 5, you can go back and catch up on those. Also, if you'd like the show notes, if you'd like the leadership training worksheets that I prepare that go along with this lessons, if you'd like the biblical alignment check worksheet, and of course, the teaching video of today's lesson, please shoot me a quick email at billstorm@billstorm.com, and I'm happy to send them your way. Sorry. Okay, the golden gift of leadership. Why the best leaders are listeners, according to John Maxwell. So in leadership, the loudest voice doesn't always lead the team forward. The loudest voice doesn't always lead the team forward. Far more powerful is the voice that listens. That's interesting. The voice is something that says something, but it's comparing it to listening. So far more powerful is the voice that listens, not just hears, but truly understands. So in Leadership Gold, John dedicates this entire chapter, chapter 6, to the impact of listening as a leadership superpower. That alone is something that could be a game changer for someone out there, right? If you're in a leadership position and all of a sudden you take on the new belief that listening becomes a leadership superpower and you start to put some attention there, start to put some energy there, all of a sudden you're going to get a pretty significant shift in the results and the outcome that you're looking for. So drawing upon decades of leadership experience, John delivers this timeless lesson. Smart leaders learn from their own mistakes. Smarter ones learn from others' mistakes, and of course also their successes. So what I've done is I've taken this entire chapter and broken it down into four key takeaways, and then I've got 5 action steps that you can take as well. So let's dive in to key takeaway number 1 after I take a sip of some fuel here. All right, number 1, listening as a core leadership strength. John argues that listening is not passive. It's not a passive exercise. It's an active exercise, which means you have to be intentional about it. This is exactly what he's talking about in his other book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, where the first law is growth has to be intentional. So it's an active, deliberate leadership skill, and it fosters trust, and it uncovers hidden insights and deepens the relationship. Number 2, learning beyond personal experience. While mistakes are valuable teachers, listening opens our minds to learn from the triumphs and the missteps of people around us, our team members, right? So this exponential learning accelerates our growth. Well, what does that mean, right? Every time you learn something, or every time you make a mistake, you learn something. Well, as a leader, you have this amazing opportunity to fail a lot, right? And like Henry Ford says, failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. So if everybody on your team fails at something because they're open to trying new things, because they are thinking outside the box and they fail, that's a good thing. That allows us to learn exponentially. Number 3, creating open spaces for others to speak. A leader's role often involves drawing out voices that are seldom heard. Team members who might contribute breakthrough ideas if given room to talk and be heard. I've been part of all kinds of organizations where the leader has such a big ego and they have such an agenda on their mind that all they want to do is get their point across and talk. And everybody else that's in the room or sitting on Zoom says absolutely nothing because they know that leaders' ears are closed to hear anything. They think that the leader thinks that they know all and that they're just there wasting time. I don't know how many times I've heard that from team members. So my question is, if you're a team leader, why in the world do you have people on your team that you don't want to hear at all, right? I mean, what kind of team is that? That's not a team, okay? Number 4, the mentoring moment. We'll get more into this under the action steps, but John basically embeds application exercises and a mentoring moment to help leaders intentionally pass on this lesson to others. So cultivating listening skills across teams and generations. Again, we're going to look at this more closely in a minute, exactly how John does that. So let's get into the action steps. First action step, number 1, start meetings with silence. Okay, that sounds weird, right? Let's think about that for a minute. So John says, begin with a moment of quiet, inviting insight rather than giving insights. So this allows team members to reflect before sharing, making space for more thoughtful contribution. So I would go with this. I wouldn't just start a meeting and say, okay, everybody, let's take a moment of silence here. Okay. I don't know what that's going to accomplish, really. But I would say, if you ask a meaningful question, maybe there's one thing in particular that you need an answer to. And you start the meeting and say, I'd like everybody to take a minute, just a moment of silence, and I want you to think about this question. And then see what your mind comes up with, because this is what I'm going to ask for you to contribute today. I need your thoughts, I need your ideas. So let's brainstorm on this for a minute. And then you ask the question, and now be quiet. Now have a moment of silence, if you will. Okay, so that's my little add-on there. Number 2, ask open questions, then listen. So here's a great open-ended question. As a leader, you want to shift from, did you understand, or did you hear me, right? That kind of question, to, what are your thoughts on this, right? I'm looking for new thoughts. I'm looking for new ideas. There's no dumb answers. What are your thoughts on this, right? So now you get to pause and make eye contact with the people on your team and resist the urge to talk. Very hard for a lot of leaders, right? Just be quiet. And then let the space between the notes make the music, okay? Let the space between the notes make the music. Let that silence do some of the work. All right, number 3, capture, validate, and respond. So when somebody shares an idea, repeat it back in your own words. So basically what you're doing is you're clarifying. So in the Tony Robbins organization, they would use this phrase all the time. They'd say, I want to C and V, which stood for, I need to clarify and verify what you just said. What I heard was this, right? I want to verify that that's what you meant. So that confirms accurate understanding, but it also signals respect and value of what that person just said. You didn't just brush over it, right? You actually thoughtfully listened to it. Number 4, schedule listening sessions. Block off regular one-on-one time with your people, not for status updates, but to hear them, right? Hear their challenges, hear their ideas, hear their concerns. And more than that, just treat them as a person. Now, I'm not saying you need to get buddy-buddy with everybody, because I think there should be some sort of professional distance there. But when somebody feels like they can approach you and voice their concerns without fear of repercussions, that's a good thing. So leaders who listen proactively, they often spot small issues before they escalate, right? We want to find out where the little flames are before they turn into big forest fires. Okay, now number 5, I promised I would come back to this about John's use of the mentoring moment. This is the mentoring moment approach. So the idea here is for you to train upcoming leaders by inviting them to lead listening sessions. So you're guiding them to ask questions. You're guiding them to listen deeply, to have like a critical ear, to really, really listen to what somebody's saying, and then reflect on what they've heard back to others. So this is a great exercise to do. It's just a listening exercise, because if you've never trained to listen, you don't know how to listen. So don't expect somebody, if you just say, hey, I need you to really listen to me. Well, you have to train people on how to listen, to have that critical ear, to really pay attention to what is said, and then have them repeat back what they heard to see if they actually internalized it or if they understood what you were saying. Now, why does this matter? Things are getting faster, right? We're in a fast-paced digital age where notifications and interruptions vie for our attention all the time. Zoom fatigue is also very, very real. I don't know how many of you have meetings online still, but there is Zoom fatigue and there is Zoom distractions. I mean, people are just tuned out. So listening becomes a rare, really valuable leadership act and also a tool. So as a leader, you have to learn how to engage other people, because if you're doing all the talking in a meeting or you're doing all of the talking on Zoom, it's very easy for somebody to tune out. But if you involve them in the conversation, now they can't tune out, right? So the more they talk and the more you listen, the stronger your listening skills get, but also the more engaged they are. I think Benjamin Franklin said this. I'm not even sure if this is true because I've seen it credited to multiple people. But it basically goes something like this. If you tell me, I'll forget. Let's see, how did it go? If you show me, I may forget. Okay, I just lost my train of thought. But basically, what it comes down to is if you just tell me and I'll forget, or show me and I may, I think that's what it is. If you show me, I may remember, tell me, and I'll probably forget, but involve me and I'll learn. So that's the point of this, is you want to involve your team, and then you are the one that's working on your listening. And it's very interesting because if you start to conduct meetings that way and you start to teach your up and coming leaders to do the same thing, they will model and mirror exactly what you do, and they'll become really good at running meetings that way, and they'll become great active listeners. Okay, now I want to do a little biblical alignment check here, okay? And I think this is really important because we all know in so many businesses, it's very easy to stretch the truth. I think it's easy to manipulate. And I think a lot of companies, very big companies, in fact, get very much in trouble because they don't have a moral compass in play. And also, even in the personal growth and development world, we start to listen to different mentors or who we consider mentors that may or may not be leading us down the right path. Some of them are very ego-centered people, and they're telling you what you want to hear because that's how they sell stuff, right? That's how they sell their product and their services. So what I like to do is I like to go back and do a little biblical alignment check to say, if I was having a conversation with Jesus, what would Jesus say about this? And would this be in alignment? And can we operate business in modern day society and lead from that kind of heart? So I'm looking at Romans 12, verses 3 through 8. And this is humble service in the body of Christ. So it says, "For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought." There's a powerful statement right there. How many of you know a leader who thinks a whole lot of him or herself, right? They have the title of leader and they think that, they're God's gift to the company, right? How many of you know somebody like that, right? So do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts. Hello, we all have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. So if your gift is prophesying, then prophecy by your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. And if it is to lead, do so diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. I love this verse because basically this is the definition of what a team is. If everybody on the team had the same gifts, there wouldn't be any need to have a team. So instead, what this is basically describing, if you want to describe it in modern terms, this is like a team of Avengers, right? Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, all of these different superheroes each have their own superpower. And they are great on their own. But when you bring them all together, they are unstoppable. They are amazing. And that's basically what is being said here. So when you have to fight the enemy, right? And all of the superpowers, all the superheroes come together, whoever is leading that team wants to be a great listener to understand how that person can use their gift, their superpower, their skill, this God-given thing to help them complete the mission. That is what a team is all about. So my thinking here is, yes, what is being said here is biblically sound, and it gets 2 thumbs up. So final thought, being a great leader isn't always about talking. It's about knowing when to pause, and it's about knowing when to listen. So John's insight that the smartest leaders learn from others is a call to embrace humility, curiosity, and attentiveness. Love that too. Think about yourself as a leader. Are you a humble person? Are you a curious leader? Like, are you just excited about learning from other people to see what great ideas they have? What's that one little thing that they might be able to contribute that's going to make all the difference? And then, of course, are you attentive? So let's lead by opening our ears as much as we open doors, right? It's all about listening. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Next week, we're going to move on to chapter 7. But again, if you like today's message, please make sure that you like it and share it with other people. Always think about who you can pay it forward to. Somebody may really benefit from this message today, so please make sure that you share it. And again, as always, if you'd like the show notes, the leadership training worksheets that I put together, the full biblical alignment check worksheet, and the teaching video of today's lesson, just shoot me a quick email at billstorm@billstorm.com, and I'm happy to send it your way. Okay, until next time, we'll see you soon.